You're not going to put forth the effort that it takes to get to the next level, but you also have to give yourself goals that you can achieve. Small wins daily, small wins weekly. Keep tallying those up as you go, because there's going to be days where you get kicked in the teeth. There's going to
Yeah.
be days where you want to give
Yeah.
up. There's going to be days where you lose money, you know?
Good morning and welcome to the Swarey Podcast. I want to welcome the guest, Chuck Allen, to the show. Hey, Chuck, good morning.
Hey, Henry, how's it going today, my friend? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you. Hey, tell me what's going on and how's it going in your business and what do you guys do? And tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So I own a roofing company here in San Antonio, Texas called Blanco Roofing and Restoration. And the company's been here for 10 years. I have been in San Antonio for a little over 5, and bought this company from my former business partners at the beginning of this year. And the story is kind of strange because I've actually bought the same company twice, and both times it was out of business. And I've
Really?
been tasked with rebranding the same roofing company multiple times. And that's kind of atypical, but I don't like to consider myself a typical person, so we're doing it and having a good time.
Yeah, so how did you said rebought it 2 times, is that what you said?
Yeah, so back in 2019, I teamed up with a couple buddies that had a company over in the eastern part of Texas, and we purchased a business in San Antonio, Rio Blanco, that had been out of business. The guy that was running it was going through some personal issues, and my key mentor in life was a consultant with this company. He didn't like the fact that it didn't survive, and they basically kind of handpicked me to come down here and resurrect that brand. And we did. We resurrected the brand. We built it up, had a couple different locations in a pretty short period of time. And I think we were kind of the victims of maybe getting too big too quick, and had to kind of take a step back at the beginning of last year. And there was some reorganization within the entire organization. And basically, we shut this company down last year for the majority of 2023. Myself and another buddy made the purchase from my former business partners at the end of last year. And here we are. We started it back up again. So I know it's kind of crazy to start a roofing company somewhere that you've never been before. It's even more crazy to start one that's already out of business, and to do it more than once. I don't know. Might want to check my head, but I'm having fun, and that's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Well, tell me, Chuck, how many years have you been in business so far? And has it just been in the roofing industry, or what's your experience been before you come to the roofing? Like, is there something else you're bringing in with you?
Well, yeah, I've been in roofing for 26 years now, which is crazy to imagine. I got into it one day on a Friday, just kind of happened my way into the industry, and 26 years later, here we are. I've been very blessed. I've been able to travel all over the country. Now I'm in a position to where I get to do consulting for other roofing companies. I have a lot of
Really?
people that are new in the industry that reach out to me for advice. And the truth of the matter is, nobody has the same type of resume that I do. And I think that uniqueness is kind of cool. It separates me from everybody in the pack in that I literally have done just about everything in roofing. I started a roofing supply company one time from scratch.
Uh-huh.
I was a delivery driver for 12 years. I used to roof load houses manually.
Really?
I've moved all over the country. I've done multiple millions of dollars in sales to homeowners, to contractors, and I think having that kind of crazy resume is really what's helped me get the opportunities I've gotten in life. And, it all kind of goes back to having confidence in yourself. And when opportunities are presented to you, being willing to jump and take them.
Right. So, did you say you help others? Because my question would be then, did you have a coach also for yourself? Like, what brought you to this point? Or there had to be a breaking point in your life where you were like, I need to do more. Like, you were probably, was it 100,000 or maybe 800,000 million? Or like, what was the first breaking point that you said, I need more?
Yeah, for me, it's kind of been in different phases as my career goes. I've had different goals as we've kind of changed routes and changed the trajectory of my path. When I started the roofing supply company, my goal was to have the best roofing supply company in North Carolina. I feel like I did that. I was there for a few years. I enjoyed the experience. When I came down to Texas, my first goal was to sell that very first roof. I'd never sold a roof before to a homeowner. And that first one, they always say, is the hardest one. Once you get one, you realize that you can do it. That confidence starts to grow. And it's kind of been that the entire time as a sales rep. It was always to hit $1 million in sales for the year. I was
Yeah.
able to accomplish that several times. So
In one
you
year.
yeah,
In 1 year.
absolutely. In
Yeah.
residential roofing sales to do 1 million, back when I was doing that 5, 6, 7 years ago, that was kind of the measuring stick for, whether or not you were good. And being able to hit those numbers were something that kept me going along the way. When we started the roofing company down here, my initial goal was kind of crazy. And they always say, don't wish or dream for something that's attainable, because once you get there, you've got nothing left. So shoot for the stars. My goal was to have 50 branches and to do $100 million a year. After
Wow.
3.5, 4 years of doing that, I realized that wasn't really what I wanted. This time around, my goal now is I want to have peace. I want to not be stressed out all the time. I want to help a select few people that stay with me, that work with me, that have the same morals, the same ethics, the same work ethic, and are willing to go out there and put in the effort to build something special. And I want to help those people get to a point in their life where they don't believe that they can possibly get right now because of their circumstance. And that really is my goal. It's not monetary at this point. It's more about helping other people. Like my vision board, for example, has a picture of my repair tech, and it's got a picture of Mickey Mouse because I want to help him take his two children to Disney World. And
Interesting.
I think those kind of goals, as you get older, as you continue to do this, you realize there's going to be money. That's fine. If you just tie yourself to a monetary goal, once you get there, like I said, there's nothing else to really shoot for. So constantly changing those goals, constantly evolving, and not tying it to something material, to me is the secret to continuing to succeed, to continuing to move forward, and get into those places that we ultimately deserve to be in life.
Yeah, yeah. So, what sales course or plan do you have to change your tech, if you have any? And what is it like? And how do you like train your guys? You have daily training, weekly, monthly. Like, how does it look for you to teach someone else?
Yeah, well, I
So,
do training myself and I do consulting for roofing companies all over the country. I get flown in to teach sales teams all over the United States how to do roofing sales. So, myself, I've got 26 years of experience. I know just about everybody in my industry, and those relationships have really helped me to learn from some of the best people on this planet. And I just basically take what I learn and kind of make it into my own presentation, and I share that with my trainees. Typically, when I have a sales rep with me that I bring into my company, I want to spend as much time as possible with them for the first maybe 6 weeks, so that they are completely entrenched in what we're doing. They understand the concepts, they understand how these things work, because it is a big ticket item. You're doing, I sold a $67,000 roof yesterday. And if you don't know the ins and outs of those things and the parts and pieces involved, you can find yourself upside down. You can lose a lot of money. You can cause the company to, have financial strain. So to me, I want to make sure that my people are trained by the best. I believe myself to be the very best sales trainer. And I feel like if I do my job and I teach my people, if they make a mistake down the road, I can't blame it on them. I can blame it on me, because it's something that I failed to drive home to them strong enough to where it crossed their mind at that point and the mistakes weren't made. So to me, the ultimate accountability is at the top. And I like training my people because, number one, it's fun and it keeps me sharp. It also helps boost confidence for them. And, like I said, at that point, if something goes wrong, I can look at the person in the mirror and say, hey, that's your fault. You need to do better the next time, and make sure that you don't make that same mistake again.
yeah, what's one thing you would say to an entrepreneur? I mean, there's lots of people that are aspiring to start their own business, or maybe we're talking to a salesperson this morning or today that's watching this video, What's one thing that you would tell them to be aware of, or something that they should know when they're outside? Anything in particular?
Yeah, the biggest thing for people that, especially in my industry, roofing, it's very, very quick to spend a lot of money and material costs, labor costs, licensing, permits, advertising, you name it. There are so many expenses involved with creating a successful organization. And I think what a lot of people get caught up in is that there is also great opportunity to make quick money. You can make a lot of money in a short period of time. And that's the charm for a lot of people. We'll get say, for example, a hailstorm. We get a hailstorm that comes through San Antonio, Texas. And with the laws being what they are here in Texas, which are very minimal, there are no licensing requirements for roofing
Got
contractors
it.
in my state. So all these roofing companies pop up the next morning of a storm, and it's usually people that have been in sales for a little while, that have had some success to a certain degree, and they look at the finished product and say, well, that doesn't seem so hard. I sell the jobs, I do all the work, these guys make all the money, I'm just going to go out and do it on my own. And I always encourage people to live your dream, to that's what we're here for. But
Yeah.
also be aware, if you start a brand new company and you have no history, it's very difficult, number one, to get approved for credit through your suppliers who
Yeah.
have the materials that you need to do the job. So let's say on average, material cost for a job is $5,000. What do you do? If you don't have $5,000 to begin with to start, just to get that first order, you're already in trouble. And the reality is, the insurance company typically pays you a portion, and then you have to wait several weeks to get the remaining portion of that project's proceeds. And in those weeks in between, your expenses continue to build up. You continue to have to pay your crews, you continue to have to pay your insurance, you continue to have to pay your material bills. And the fact of the matter is, it is extremely easy to go broke in a short period of time if you're not 100% prepared. And like myself, for example, I was out of the industry as far as roofing company ownership goes last year. I found a partner. And the reality is, if I didn't have a partner, there's no way I would try to do a roofing company right now by myself, because the way things are set up, insurance right now is very drawn out for contractors. Cash flow is a major, major issue. And that's just one of the things that you don't take into account a lot of times, because people don't see that to the full extent, and they think that it's a lot easier than it really is. And once you're in, you're committed to it, and
Yeah.
I see a lot
How
of
much?
people lose their stuff because they were almost a little too anxious to get in and to chase that success, and weren't willing to do it the right way.
Sounds like you're doing some insurance work there in Texas now, right? Is that majority of your job? And is that like what you do mostly?
Well, I'm going through a change right now, and that's the beauty of what I've done with this company, is buying the company now. I've got it kind of scaled down to where it's myself, and I've got a couple really excellent specialty crews that I work with. I've got a metal crew. I've got a guy that can do just about any kind of carpentry repair, and I work with specialists. So for me, it's kind of a different game than it was 2 years ago when I had 20 plus sales reps and we were kind of, just really, really going and moving. So I vowed, like I said before, that my stress level was going to be one of the key performance indicators for me. Is I want to maintain a nice level, even keel, mindset. I don't want to let this business get out of hand. I don't want to let insurance companies be the ones that I'm beholden to, because I understand the design is to eliminate people like me ultimately from the equation. And I've made a decision with this go around with the company that I'm focusing a lot more on high end retail projects, specialty roof systems like metal roofs. We've got rubber roof systems that are completely hail proof, things that standard roofing contractors that haven't been around for multiple decades maybe aren't comfortable presenting, don't have the understanding or the knowledge or the networking capability to actually do. And that's my main goal right now. I want to separate from that rat race, from the people that are stuck in that, because literally once you get into that deep enough, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul on every single job, and everything can get so confused and just convoluted that it'll ruin a business if you're not extremely cautious and extremely disciplined. And I always tell people there's no prize for going out and signing 20 roofing contracts with people that you're going to screw over, or 20 contracts with people that you're not going to be able to fulfill because you're going to run out of money after the third job. You have to be smart about this. And with insurance work, you get a ton of work because a major area gets hit with a storm. Everybody files claims. And if you're good at your job, your main objective is to get every house in the neighborhood, right? So that seems like it would be a great idea, but it's also the most counterproductive thing you could possibly do unless you've got backing, in the millions of dollars at this point. Unfortunately, you've got to have a couple $1 million in reserve that you can have a flexible line with before you can really go out there and work to the fullest capacity as far as insurance work goes. So
Wow. A
to make
couple
a
million
short
in
answer
reserves.
long, what's that?
Yeah. So a couple million in reserves. So let's say, a guy wants to do like 5 million in sales per year or something like that, maybe a smaller company. How much would he have to have in reserves to run a $5 million company, do you think? So he could do his insurance, he could keep up with payroll, and I hope he's got a good accountant, right? Because like you said, he could be sprayed on the company by not being careful on the money that he has or he thinks he has.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are so many variables involved in this roofing. If you hire a sales rep and they go out and they sign 50 deals at a 25% margin, or you get someone that sells, 35 deals at a 45% margin, you'd rather have the fewer number of deals for the better money. And there are so many different variables with the way that people sell, with the way that they present themselves. I'm in a market here in San Antonio that is very price driven. The population has been conditioned for decades, cheap, 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 cheap. And some of the things I see down here are absolutely ridiculous as far as the quality and just knowing, people are literally getting up in the morning and saying, I'm going to go out and screw somebody over today. I'm going to take advantage of someone. I know that in San Antonio, Texas, they're not even going to have a permit officer to come behind
Wow.
and do an inspection.
Really?
So in San Antonio, Texas, I buy a building permit for a roof replacement. I have no idea where that money goes because there is nobody to come check for code violations, for anything in general that you would want to have someone looking at. And
Yeah.
again, it's a huge crapshoot. If you're a homeowner, you've got to be able to understand the pool is filled, and you've got people that have been doing this for 25 plus years. You've got people that worked at movie theaters last week that are now roofers because there was a big storm,
Right.
and they may not have any experience at all. You might have more experience filing insurance claims than your contractor, and it's just a very dangerous thing. And so for me, my main goal right now is to kind of be an advocate for homeowners to the best of my ability, to help them to not get taken advantage of. The way that the insurance markets are changing, the way that deductibles are changing for homeowners, they're going from a certain amount to percentages of the value of your home, which, as we know, I've never seen home values go down. I see them go up every
Right.
single year. So if you've
Right.
got a 2% deductible and the home value continues to go up, 5 years from now, you might have a $10,000 deductible that you've agreed to, or maybe not even agreed to, but just kind of shows up in a little
Wow.
notification, an email that you read, didn't even read because you took it for granted. And, the way that business is done now for roofers is going to be completely different moving forward because insurance companies are changing the way that they're doing things. And it is going to be a lot more prominent for homeowners to get taken advantage of trying to do what they think is the right thing, because in common sense, they are doing the right thing, but in reality, there's nothing common sense related to insurance. So,
I got a question. So
yeah.
talking about this insurance thing, all right. How come it's so difficult for the construction and roofing industry to get your insurance claim filed properly or to make a claim? One, people say, I don't want to file a claim because it's going to make my rates go up because they've been conditioned that same as a car insurance, you hit a deer, and their car insurance goes up because you're a reckless driver, you get pulled over for speeding, whatever. Yeah, when the car goes bad, you need insurance claim on your car, no problem. Seems like you can take care of it, providing, they're a reputable shop, which most of them, they can lose their license quickly. However, if it's in the roofing and the construction industry, filing an insurance claim is like a war. For one, it doesn't raise your claim. You don't have to raise, they don't raise your insurance just because you file a claim, because you have to like cover a whole area, like to raise the whole area's value. So one, at the same level, almost like income taxes for properties, they all rise at the same time. Can you like talking to that a little bit, like line it's a different whole?
You're absolutely correct about how that works. And I tell my homeowners, it's always the person that does the ethical thing, that does the thing that's morally correct, that ends up getting taken advantage of in the situation, because a lot of people believe what you just said. If I file a claim, my rates are going to go up. So therefore, I don't want to file a claim. When in reality, it is absolute fact that they cannot raise your rates based on something that was an act of Mother Nature. And what I mean by that is there's a huge difference between hitting a deer with your car or falling asleep on the couch with your stove on and burning down your house versus a storm event coming through that you were not able to avoid. The only way you could miss a storm is to pick your house up off the foundation and move it. And I've never seen anybody that was able to do that. So, how could you be punished for something that you couldn't control? The answer is you can't. So, the next phase for the insurance carriers is okay, well, what do we do now? Well, everybody in this zip code is going to be filing a claim. So, we blanket the entire zip code instead of individual homeowners. And at the end of the day, everybody's policy goes up. Those that filed the claim, theirs goes up. Sure. Those that didn't file the claim, theirs goes up as well. And the reality is, when you get to a certain point with your roof's age, the insurance carriers know what's on your roof. They're paying to make sure that it's protected. When it gets to a certain age, they start depreciating more off of it. They start taking more away from your coverage. At the year 10, a lot of people are getting letters from their insurance carriers saying, hey, it's up to you now to replace this out of pocket. If you don't, we're going to drop your coverage. And that doesn't seem fair, because you didn't file a claim. You're going to lose your coverage, but you're now the most vulnerable person. And they realize that, and they thank you for not filing claims for all those years. But before it becomes your time to get that payout, we're going to shut the door on you and say, hey, if you don't do it yourself, you're not getting anything. And then, you know, try to find insurance coverage. A lot of people think they can just go to a different carrier and it's fine, but there's a huge database and they all follow the same information. Every insurance carrier knows every detail about every house. And they know that your roof is 15 years old. They know that you filed a claim 5 years ago and you never collected depreciation. Therefore, you probably didn't do the roof. If you did, you probably didn't do it correctly. So,
Right,
so many things that the insurance carriers know that homeowners think that they're going to be able to, outsmart or get away with. And the reality of the matter is it's set up so that the insurance companies are not going to pay out, they're in business. Their goal is to fix as much as possible for as little out of pocket expense. But the reality of the matter is also, you're paying for that. It's your money, like they're going to
right,
refuse to give you your money back sometimes. And it's frustrating, but the people that have the morals, the people that say, well, my roof isn't leaking, they don't realize it's going to take 2 or 3 years for that storm damage to equate into a roof leak, because it just takes time. Cycles of Mother Nature, heating and cooling and expanding and contracting the asphalt. It's going to leak 3 years from now, and your insurance company is going to tell you that you're past the statute of limitations. So there is no good reason not to file a claim. And I come to find that the majority of the people that have that mindset are they're people that are 65 and above as far as age goes. They came from a different time where honesty was actual honesty. And, the world that we live in today, it's not the same. So those
yeah,
are the people that I have the
yeah.
hardest time convincing, and they're the ones that usually end up becoming the victims.
Right. So, question on software that you use, like when you file an insurance claim, is kind of an interesting topic because it seems like it's a sensitive topic for a lot of people, and a lot of people are in pain because of insurance, and a lot of contractors are being taken because they don't understand insurance. They're not able to close a claim, and they're not able to communicate to the homeowner how they can help them. They looked at scams, like you said, they tried to avoid it. What do? They fall into the other scam. So it's very hard to help people if they don't want to be helped, and they must trust us as, the authority on it. Hopefully they do, but question on the software that you use. What is it called, that software that people use?
Well, the insurance industry uses a program called Xactimate. Yes.
Xactimate. And so what I found is the insurance adjuster comes out and they tell the homeowner, hey, get 3 bids. And then we're going to get figured out who's going to do the roof, based on the bids. And then they update the numbers on Xactimate, if I have this correct. And so the Xactimate numbers are not necessarily the correct number that it takes to replace the roof and actually make money. How do you overcome that?
Well, and that's a terrific question. Thank you for asking this, because I love explaining this to everybody. And the first part of what you said is the biggest misstep that a homeowner can take is getting 3 bids. And the question I always ask is this: what does it benefit you to get 3 bids? What do you think is going to happen with the 3 bids that you get? And let's say you turn in 3 bids to your insurance carrier and you really like the guy that was the middle of the road. The middle contractor was the one that you felt the most comfort with. They were the most proficient. They were the ones that explained it the best. But you've got 3 bids because your insurance asked you to. And guess what? By law, your insurance carrier only has to accept the lowest bid.
That's
so
amazing.
Let me ask you this. What is their motivation to pick anything other than the cheapest thing that you could possibly gather for them? And then the question becomes, why are you doing the insurance carrier's job for them? Why are you gathering the bids when they're going to send an adjuster out? They've got the Xactimate program, which in theory is designed to basically level the playing field for contractors. And what the Xactimate platform is supposedly doing is breaking down your average cost for material and labor per zip code, per county across the United States. And it's updated every single month. Every 30 days, the pricing is updated because it's a very fluid market. Pricing on materials never goes down. It's always going up, but it's constantly moving. Xactimate, what I tell my homeowners, what it's designed to do is prevent you from, number one, getting a low ball bid, because your insurance carrier, while they're doing you a great service, providing you that estimate, they're also not known for their overwhelming generosity in most cases. So that's probably even going to be a little bit low for what it's actually going to take to do the project. But I tell them, don't deviate off of this, because if you deviate off of this, let's say that your insurance gave you a quote for 15,000 and you find a contractor that says they'll do it for 12. You find a contractor that says they'll do it for 17, and you like both of them, but you're thinking to yourself, okay, they're saying 15. If this guy does it for 12, I get to keep 3,000. No, the insurance will pay 12. That's how it's set up. They will pay the 12. And if they get a bid that says anything other than what the 12 was, then you're complicit to committing insurance fraud with the contractor, because you're falsifying invoices, right? So you've just given yourself a $3,000 kick in the butt if you decide to go that route. Now you go the other route and they say, well, it's 17, my insurance is paying 15. I can't come out of pocket another $2,000. So what do I do? Well, now we can go back and we can work with your insurance carrier, because you stay within the parameters of their insurance adjuster and their estimate. It's very tough for someone to deny something that was done on their end, And I tell people, if my estimate says 17, they're probably going to deny it and say no. But if I can show them why their 15 should be 17, and we can put in legitimate, line items that are required for the job, we can explain why they're required, and we can show exactly what the value of that is, then yes, they will give you more money to supplement to get to where it needs to be. So the whole myth of getting 3 bids is definitely the biggest mistake a homeowner can make, because like I said, all you're doing is finding someone to do the cheapest thing for you on your own home. And then the kicker of it is 6 months, a year, 2 years down the road, the roof is leaking. Your insurance carrier comes back and says, well, we're sorry, that's your fault, because you're the one that got that quote. You're the one that picked that insurance or that roofing contractor. Wow. And it's not our fault. So of course they want you to do that, because there are so many ways to get out of things down the road that way. And it's called, let's reassign the blame. You were the victim, but now you're also the cause of your own victimization in their eyes. And what can you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
guys told me to do that. Well, just because we told you, if we told you to go jump off a bridge, would you do it? Maybe not. You'd probably think
Right.
about it, right? So
Right.
people are very quick to blindly accept what they're told to do. And the reality is with insurance carriers, they've got the marketing capability. They're the ones that are seen on television more often. They're the ones that have the characters. They're the ones that sponsor the Super Bowls. They're the ones how that. So the public perception is that this is the good side of things, and the contractors are perceived as the scumbags, the ones who, are looking to rob from old ladies and do all this bad stuff. And the fact of the matter is, it's probably the exact opposite. And that's not to hate on the insurance industry because there are a ton of great people, but
Yeah.
it's a winding road. If you get into it,
Yeah.
it's a winding road. So that's why I kind of position my company as something different. And I'll still run claims, but I throw mine through a public adjuster who takes care of all of that stuff for me, so I can't get myself in any kind of trouble.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a couple of things that I like to just bring out. One, I think shady contractors, the term, like, for a better term, just contractors that may not be reputable or have the right intent, but they get taken out because too many insurance projects or whatever. They take the advance and they try to schedule projects, and then, like you said, the vendor comes behind. They're demanding money. They can't, complete the job. So no wonder we gotta have permits and all that and make sure these guys are legit. But two, I heard you say something, or almost to say something. I can bring this out. Um, I think if I put my mind in as a homeowner right now, I'm gonna get 3 bids, Chuck. All right, and then I want you to bid for me, and then we'll see. My wife and I, we gotta talk about it, see which way we want to go. But I, as a homeowner, have the full intent to take the highest bid and take that to my insurance adjuster and say, this is what it's gonna take, and I need you to pay for my roof. And then I'm gonna hire the cheapest guy, hopefully in the middle somewhere, I'm gonna be able to pocket a couple grand. How do you deal with something like that?
Well, and again, this is one of those things that you look at it and it's almost like a Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner cartoon, right? Like you can see the homeowner standing here in the middle of the street and you see that there's an anvil that's coming and it's going to land and it's going to smash them, but they don't understand the concept. Like I said, you send in the highest bid. It's $17,000 and your insurance carrier approves that. That's not how the entire process plays out with insurance. They're still going to send you a portion of the proceeds on the front end
Right.
of the job. They're going to maintain a fairly reputable amount as far as the depreciation goes. And then you've got two ways to get that money back. Number one, you can bill the insurance for the cheapest price, which again, that's the moral and ethical thing to do. As a contractor, you would hope that the homeowner would not be able to get to that position because you would hope that the contractor would explain to them, hey, I don't want to commit fraud. I don't want to end up in jail with you. This would be a terrible experience for us for a year together. I don't want to be your friend like that. And that's the number one thing most people feel
Yeah.
like you can just fluff it up, fluff it up. The only way you can collect the 17,000 is if the $12,000 guy puts on a piece of paper, I, by law, I solemnly swear that I did this work for this amount of money and I know that I'm committing perjury and I know that I'm putting myself in jeopardy and I know I'm committing a crime if I did otherwise. And at that point, I mean, I tell people, if you get to that stage of the game and someone's still willing to do it, yeah, more power to you. I feel sorry for you, and I hate to see what's going to actually go on your roof because if someone's going to commit fraud with you, I'm sure they're committing fraud on you as well. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
tough, but that's the only way to do it is that they withhold the depreciation. And like I tell my homeowners, insurance companies pay the smartest people to actually find ways to do all this stuff. And there's no common person off the street, no Joe homeowner that's going to outsmart the insurance industry, no matter how hard they try. Every scenario has been played out at some point, and nobody has a
I like
unique
that.
scenario at this point. And
I
the
like
problem
that.
with homeowners is you get a big check in your hand and you get greedy, and sometimes greed overtakes common sense. And
Yeah.
That's where we get problems.
Yeah. Well, if we were to pivot here and talk another part of business, we've really treated on the insurance, and I think it's important that people understand it. And there's other people watching that probably don't understand insurance. But as the entrepreneur show, what's something that you think others should know about running a business? There's got to be like different parts of the company. If I was to look at 4 parts, I always say there's like marketing, that's a department, sales, that's a department, and then service, that's a department, right? And then you got the financial. And if one of these departments break down, the company will get in trouble. What's something that you would like to teach about any of those? Is it marketing? Is it financial? Do you have anything that you want to tell the younger generation about the companies to
Well,
see?
yes, I definitely do. The first step, okay, in my industry with roofing companies, almost every roofing company starts out the same. It's a one-man show, it's a mom and pop, it's a couple buddies that they were installers or they were sales reps or whatever, and they're going to start their business, right? And for me, the hardest part of that entire process is delegation, letting go of responsibilities, because you have taken it upon yourself as the person that's overseeing the project. And if it fails, it's going to fall on you 100%. So in the early days, the hardest thing that you can do is give somebody else some authority in your company. And I've got so many friends in my industry that I've known for decades, and we talk about this all the time. I'm the best guy for the job. I'm the best sales guy. I'm the best repair guy. I'm the best installer. I'm the best this. That's great, but you can't get to where you're trying to go by yourself. I often ask the question to new company owners, what is your revenue goal for your first year? What do you want to get to? 3 million. Okay, well, what's your best year that you ever had as a salesman? 750,000. Okay, so tell me how you're going to get to 3 million. You've never done it. You don't know how to. You just throw a pretty number out there and you get there and you realize I'm not prepared. So for me, the goals they have to be reasonable, but they also have to be absurd. You've got to be reaching for the stars at all times, because if you get complacent, you're not going to put forth the effort that it takes to get to the next level. But you also have to give yourself goals that you can achieve. Small wins daily, small wins weekly. Keep tallying those up as you go, because there's going to be days where you get kicked in the teeth. There's going to
Yeah.
be days where you want to give up. There's going to be days where you lose money. I lost money on a job a couple weeks ago because it was the right thing to do.
Uh-huh.
Something wasn't to my liking. I didn't like the quality of what we had done. I paid another guy to come back and completely redo it at my cost, out of my pocket. And I felt good doing that. It didn't feel good with the money portion, but I understood if you do the right thing, you're gonna get the right thing done back to you in exchange. And for me, I think that's the biggest lesson for people getting into entrepreneurship is just don't expect to be a multi-million dollar organization overnight. It takes forever. In roofing, I think 5% of the companies total do $1 million or more in sales. That means
Wow.
95 out of 100 never get to that number. And if we're shooting for that number and you can't get to that number, a lot of people get discouraged. They quit. They say, this isn't my thing. This sucks. I'm done. And I think that's the biggest thing is just setting reasonable targets and making sure that you track your attainable goals and make sure that, the things that you have control over, you do. I get up every morning and go to the gym at 5 a.m. because that's
Wow.
one thing I can control. And if I don't do that, the only person I can blame is myself, right? So I think that's the key for entrepreneurs is go all in, accept every bit of the responsibility as your own, but also know that the faster you can find someone that you can multiply yourself into, the quicker you're going to scale. You don't want to
Yeah.
sell forever. You don't want to be on production forever. At some point, you want to be the person behind the scenes and you've got an entire team doing it. And the quicker you can delegate and give up those responsibilities that you don't want to give up, the better off you'll be.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that what you're saying about delegation, and I think it's probably one of the hardest key things for a company to scale. And maybe even talking about myself, there are things that I always am tied to in a company. It seems like I need to let go here, and then I need to let go there. But how does a person delegate something that they love to do, but maybe they may not be good at it. Or even if they are good at it, all right, how do I delegate? And then the next thing is, how do I follow up, right? Because here's the number one thing I hear when I've had some employees that aren't here no more, but they would say, "Oh, so you want me?" So I was trying to teach them to also train another leader, and they said, "Oh, I wouldn't want to be micromanaged. I wouldn't want to micromanage them." I says, "No, you're not micromanaging. Giving them a task, but then you follow up. And how would you speak into that?"
Well, the reality is, okay, that you have to define micromanage. And the truth of the matter is, if you're not micromanaging your team to a certain degree, you're failing them. If you're just letting things coast and there are things that could be better and you're not paying enough attention to it, or you're not doing what you should be doing for the betterment of the entire team, that falls on you as well. And I think, sure, you're going to get salespeople that don't want you to be micromanaging. They want to do their own thing and they want to, okay, let me see your results. For me, the people that don't want my advice, that don't want my management, I've got companies that pay me to fly to their company and teach their sales teams. And then I've got people in my own organization that think that they know more about it than I do. And they're not even remotely close. But you know, what do? You have to tell them, hey, if you don't do it this way, then you're going to be held even more accountable for your results. I told you earlier, if I teach you something and you make a mistake, I hold myself accountable. If you are not willing to accept my teachings, knowing full well that this company means everything to me and that your future is the most important thing to the success of my company, and therefore your future and your success is the most important thing to me, then that's your fault. And if you screw something up after you've decided that you knew more than I did or you didn't want my help, I feel sorry for you because I don't have a short leash with those types of folks. And I will let go someone pretty quick, even if they've got a lot of ability, just based on that. I'll keep people that are not high level performers if they're giving me the effort. And I'll get rid of high level performers if I feel like they're being complacent and they're slacking. And I think to me that keeps everybody on an even playing field. And I think the people that don't get the results but put in the effort respect it more, and ultimately they end up getting those results because they do keep putting in the effort. And I think that they respect the fact that you don't let people just sit by and rest on their laurels or their past success, because it, it it's a constantly evolving position. The value of that position is always changing, and hopefully it's always growing. And I think everybody can appreciate a system where I'm willing to give you the shirt off my back, but if you don't want it, okay, we'll see how it works out for you. And if it doesn't work out at the level that I want it to, then just know you're not going to get a lot of grace from me because of the way that you handled that situation.
Yeah, yeah. So that brings us kind of to the hiring and firing and retaining and rewarding, which is a huge thing for companies, right? So if people can scale their company, they can grow their company. They have a dedicated force, but they need systems and procedures in place to manage all this. And it's might even be a little bit over the head for some people today listening. Would you hire skill over will? Would you hire skill over potential? Um, some people have a lot of potential, and they tell you all the potential they have, but the skill level is kind of low. But then there's other people that they have a resumes like, dude, you have been in places, you've been there. Um, I guess kind of how do you look at the resume, and how do you make those decisions if you don't like sharing that?
Yeah. And, that's a terrific question. I think that each individual prospect, as you're looking at people to bring into your team, is going to be unique, and no two people are ever going to be the same. So you have to look at it from that standpoint. You have to be aware of that fact. Okay. Some people have strengths and other people can't do what they do, and vice versa, strengths versus weakness. So with me, the first thing I want to look for is energy. I hire energy. People buy based off of emotion. You have to incite an emotion in somebody to get them to want to buy something. And when it's something like I sell a roof, very seldom do I get called out to someone's home where they're excited to have the roofer come out and give them a quote, oh my gosh, this is going to probably cost me 50 or $60,000. This is awesome. No, we're usually called out because there's something wrong. There's a leak. It's an inconvenience. We're viewed as such. And to me, you have to bring an energy about you to separate from the crowd, because that mindset can really get down and it can beat you down quickly. And a lot of people go through this very just robotic. And to me, I want someone that's energetic. I prefer to hire people that have no experience in my industry whatsoever, because I feel like with roofing specifically, there are so many different ways of going about things. And I feel like a lot of people pick up bad habits along the way. Some people do things differently than I do, and I don't want to have those types of processes brought in. So I look for people from service industries. I've hired a lot of people from the food industry, waiters, waitresses, people that are in rental car scenarios where they have a tendency to offer upgrades a lot to homeowners, to clients. Hey, today only, if you upgrade to the Escalade, we can get you in it for this price. We do a lot of upgrading with our roof system, so it's like people that are comfortable with that, people that work in high scale restaurants, that are used to talking to people that are wealthy, that understand, hey, they're just people. They think they're more important than everybody else, but they're just people. And once you get to the core of that, you treat them well, they treat you well. And I'd rather have those kind of people come in, because you can teach them your systems. You can teach them the way that you want it to be done. And when they don't know any other way, the best part of it is with pricing. If a homeowner, or if a sales prospect doesn't understand how we put the pricing together, I teach them how to sell themselves, how to sell the company, how to sell the brand in that order. And that's the number we sell it for. They don't know if it's a 35% margin, or if it's a 12% margin, or if I'm making $1,000 or 5,000. They don't know. They know that they're selling themselves, and they're selling themselves in the value for that number. And the
Right.
key to that is, when people start to see the numbers, they start saying, well, wait a minute, I was selling them for this, and I could probably go all the way down to this, and I could get more deals. And you don't
Right.
want that mindset. Like I said, you'd rather sell 35 at a 40 margin than, 40 at a 30 margin, because it
Exactly.
works out better. So to me, I'd rather have people with no training, no knowledge. I like to teach sales. I like to teach psychology. So if you've got a good attitude, if you've got the right mindset, and if you've got a good energetic approach, I'm all in, and I will physically spend my time, money, and energy to teach the right people. And I've trained $7 million producers in my career, so you know
Wow.
I'm willing
Wow.
to commit that level to my people.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, hey, it's been great visiting with you today, Chuck. And I want to respect your time. And if there's one thing that you'd like to share, something an entrepreneur should know, maybe something we just talked about today, or something about yourself that you want to talk about, what would that one thing be that you'd like to share?
Well, again, thank you, Henry, for letting me be on your show today. I appreciate it. I love doing podcasts. I have my own podcast, as you can see, and I like being a guest on others, because it's a completely different role. I love being the guy asking the questions and getting all these stories from folks, but telling the stories is a lot of fun. And I just want to say to anybody that is maybe on the fence, you're watching this episode and you're thinking, hey, I'm tired of working for the same guy who's making all this money off me. Number one, trust me, they're not making a ton of money off of you. You're probably making more money as a sales rep than a lot of owners are in service businesses with the way things are set up. But I always encourage people, you only get one life. We only get this day once. It's never going to come back again. If you want to do something in life, do it. Don't regret it 15 years from now and say, man, I should have done that when I wanted to, but I couldn't do it. Pull the trigger, make it happen. The worst case scenario is you lose everything and you have to start over. And guess what? It happens to people every day all over the world. And some of the best stories that you can ever come up with are those comeback stories. And that's what really teaches people what they're made of inside. So if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about starting a business, if you're thinking about going out and doing it, but you're just not quite right where you need to be and you're waiting for the perfect day, today's the perfect day, because there is no perfect day. This is it. And if you're going to get your teeth kicked in one way or the other, you might as well get it done as quick as possible. And I leave you guys with that. Thank you for anyone that watched this episode today, I really appreciate it. And again, thank you for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck, for sharing that. One last tidbit there. I think you needed that one just as much as anybody. There's always things in my life I want to do, and I tend to want to have more information than I actually need. I need to get moving and then pivot as we continue.
Yep, jump first and figure out if there's water in the pool halfway down. That's how I
know,
live my
right?
life.
Throw your wings on the way down. I've heard before. Chuck, where do people find you on social media? Where do you find, where do you?
I am all over social media. You can hit Chuck Allen on Facebook. I have content that I put out all the time, not just roofing related, but I like to put out a lot of educational roofing content. I do my podcast, Keepin It Rio, once a week. I have a lot of unique guests, not just from my industry, but from all over the world, all different walks of life. I had a fairy tale author on this past week, and I had a professional wrestler the week before that. So
wow.
I love to do that. Follow Keepin It Rio on YouTube, on Facebook. My roofing company, Rio Blanco Roofing and Restoration in San Antonio. Always like to put up content on those channels and answer any questions I can for anybody. So if you're watching this, I always encourage people, check it out, and maybe somewhere down the road we can help each other.
All right. Well, thanks, Chuck. Thanks for keeping it real. Thank you so much for being on this show, and see you another time.
Yes, sir.